Hello and good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jackie Bonk, and I am one of the principal consultants here at SelectToImpress. My team and I are so excited to present our selection proposal to you today. Our first slide outlines the agenda for our presentation this afternoon. We are going to start off with some quick introductions to help you get to know our team better. Next is the needs identification, which will go over what StyleBox needs in a new selection system. Following this, we will discuss our technical approach, including a work analysis, the assessment, and system implementation. After this, we will go over our value proposition, our estimated timeline, our conclusion, and answer any questions you may have. A little bit of background on SelectToImpress. We were established in 1997 and currently have about 150 dedicated professionals on staff. Our mission is to create thoughtful selection systems through a needs-based, client-centered, and collaborative approach. Our organization has consultants with backgrounds in industrial organizational psychology, business development, and human resources. Our consultants also have experience across various industries, including fashion and retail. While we are based in the U.S., we do work with several organizations who have an international presence. As I mentioned before, my name is Jackie, and I am one of the 4 lead principal consultants on this project. I began my career working in the healthcare sector before pivoting to large-scale retail and now consulting. I have an extensive background in talent management and industrial organizational psychology. I'm going to pass it off to Alex and let her introduce herself.
Hi, I'm Alex, and I'm also one of the lead principal consultants on this project, and I'll be focusing on the reliability and validity of our selection system. That means that I'll make sure our system has a high degree of consistency and accuracy. I started my career in an entry-level recruitment position, obtained my PhD in industrial organizational psychology, and I've been in consulting ever since. I have considerable experience in selection and talent development. Now, I'll let Sabrina introduce herself.
Hi, my name is Sabrina Liu, and I'm a principal consultant at SelectToImpress, specializing in custom gamified assessment solutions. I have my master's in industrial psychology and a bachelor's in design and user experience, and I truly believe that gamified assessments are a great tool to modernize traditional text-only assessments, as well as improve prospective candidates' experiences. I'm really excited to bring my expertise to this project. Now I will pass it on to Anjali to do her introduction.
Hi everyone, my name is Anjali, and I'm one of the other principal consultants leading this project. I have an educational background in human resources management and industrial psychology. I started my career as an HR specialist in the pharmaceutical industry prior to transitioning over to consulting. I now specialize in selection system development and applicant scoring using data combination strategies.
Thank you, everyone, for the introductions. Now I will give a brief overview of the problems you're having with your current selection system. Your current process breaks down into 4 steps: reviewing resumes, completing an initial call with a recruiter, talking with current employees, and completing reference checks. This process can be time-consuming, inconsistent across regions, has more potential for bias, and overall is not scalable. StyleBox has also been receiving lower customer ratings, therefore it is very important to improve your current process to better select stylists and improve overall organizational performance. What you need is a new global selection system that is more efficient, consistent, and scalable. Our proposed system will be a custom solution that is partially delivered online. It will identify stylists in both Germany and the US and will be user-friendly. Successful implementation of this system will decrease time to fill, cost per hire, increase the number of quality stylists at StyleBox, and we collaborate with leadership on change management. We are here every step of the way to help you through the transition. On this slide, we have outlined the path for our technical approach. We will begin by completing a work analysis, which will allow us to define the stylist position and create a job description. Following steps 1 and 2, we will develop the assessment and validate it. Once this is complete, we will implement the selection system and then validate the entire system. As I mentioned, the first step is to complete a work analysis. This is the process of identifying and understanding the tasks affiliated with the position, the significance of those tasks, how they are completed, and the attributes needed to successfully complete these tasks. We need to understand and define the stylist position before we can design a system to select them. Our work analysis will consist of virtual interviews with subject matter experts, also called SMEs. These are active stylists at StyleBox that are knowledgeable about the position, and we will also administer the Fleischman Job Analysis Survey online. These interviews will allow employees to report the essential tasks they complete, the knowledge, skills, and abilities, and other characteristics, also referred to as KSAOs, that are required to perform the job successfully. We will also gather information on critical incidents, which will provide an overview of the behaviors required to perform the job successfully. We will complete these interviews with 7 to 10 SMEs from each country. Lastly, we will administer the Fleischman Job Analysis Survey to employees online. Surveys are relatively quick and low cost to administer. This survey determines the level of cognitive, psychomotor, sensory, and social abilities required to perform the job. This survey has been thoroughly researched and is considered a reliable and valid job analysis method. It will be administered to an additional 41 SMEs from each country, Germany and the US, to supplement the information gathered from the interviews. Once we have collected all of the data, we will create a job description which will contain the job specifications, including any KSAOs needed, as well as the minimum qualifications needed to be successful. The job description will also include task statements that describe what stylists do day to day, how they do it, and why. The combination of KSAOs and task statements will give candidates a clear picture of the stylist job.
Thanks, Jackie. I will now discuss the aspects of the assessment. After completing the work analysis, the KSAOs identified that are essential to succeeding as a stylist and thus are expected to predict job performance can be measured via an assessment. The assessment will essentially serve as a proxy for quantifying the degree that a candidate has these critical KSAOs. In terms of features, our assessment will be job relevant to not only simulate real situations the candidate could encounter on the job, but also give the candidate a realistic view of the stylist job. Scoring will also be objective, such that each potential answer for each question will have an associated point value. The higher the points a candidate scores, the more they answer in a way that aligns with the KSAOs we are measuring. The assessment will also be administered online. This increases the accessibility, scalability, and consistency of the process, and the automation will save StyleBox time. The questions and prompts will be computer adaptive, meaning that depending on what the candidate answers on the previous question, it will determine the level of difficulty their next question is. This feature mitigates cheating and also will be scored in a way that accounts for the difficulty of the questions, thus ensuring a more precise assessment. Finally, we will include gamified elements to keep the candidate engaged and help them feel higher levels of fairness, satisfaction, and attraction to the organization. Traditional pencil and paper administration is archaic compared to the rise of technological advancements today. Gamified elements will also increase the reality of the questions and scenarios the candidate is presented with. We will show a couple of examples of this on the next slides. The first example is a gamified situational judgment test. A situational judgment test presents a scenario to the candidate, and the candidate must choose what they believe to be the best action to take. As an example, we are assessing customer service aptitude, which, based on our experience in similar industries, would be expected to be a critical KSAO necessary to be a successful stylist. In this prompt, the candidate receives an email from one of their clients complaining about being unhappy with the last 2 styling boxes they received. The test is administered online, so the user interface will look very similar to an email they would actually get. The question and potential options on the right would then be prompted on the screen, and candidates would select what they would do. This could be expanded to even show multiple email response options and then having the candidate select the correct one to send. Another example's interface could be within StyleBox's app as well. Since stylists will be interacting with clients through email and the StyleBox app, this gamified solution would mimic how they would actually communicate with clients. Another example is a gamified and modified version of a work sample. The prompt would describe who the client is, what their needs for an outfit are, as well as their style preferences. Candidates would then select from multiple options which the best outfit combination would be, as though these are the only clothes in the client's size within StyleBox's warehouse that would be delivered on time for the client's request. This modified work sample would allow the candidates to showcase their work and how well they listen to their client needs, which is part of the customer service aptitude KSAO. Now I will pass it off to Alex to go over the assessment, development, and validation.
To develop StyleBox's personalized assessment, we will follow a proven 9-step process. We will use the work analysis previously described to determine the knowledge, skills, and abilities required to be a successful stylist at StyleBox and to develop clear definitions of these KSAOs. Then we'll move on to developing the actual items that will make up the assessment. We'll plan to write about double the amount of items needed, as we'll revise, edit, and remove items as we move through the process. Speaking of editing, we'll conduct a variety of analyses as we edit the items. We will conduct a distractor analysis, which will help us determine how often incorrect choices are chosen and which incorrect choices are being selected. We will conduct an item difficulty analysis to determine how often our subject matter experts choose the correct response. And we'll conduct an item discrimination analysis to determine if responses to items are related. Lastly, we will conduct an item analysis using item response theory. This will explain how individual differences affect the individuals taking the assessment and show us potential bias. These analyses will ensure that we create and select items that properly measure the KSAO. At SelectToImpress, we are always working to improve and update our assessments. So part of our services include ongoing evaluation of our assessments when things like job duties evolve over time. We will ensure a high degree of reliability in this assessment, meaning that it will consistently measure the selected KSAO. We will use statistics to measure the consistency of the assessment. We will also have our subject matter experts take the assessment 2 separate times. We're looking to see if their scores on the first and second assessment are stable. We will also ensure a high degree of validity to ensure that the assessment truly measures the correct KSAO and that StyleBox can confidently make decisions based on candidates' assessment results. To do so, we would form a panel of 100 employees of various levels, diverse backgrounds, and varying performance ratings. Each individual panelist would be presented with the items on the assessment and asked to determine how much the question overlaps with the chosen KSAO. Then, this same panel of 100 employees will complete the assessment. If panelists who are considered top performers receive high scores, and if low performers receive low scores, we can conclude that there is a relationship between the test scores and performance, and that this relationship should hold for job applicants. Our assessment is best implemented as part of a more rigorous selection system. To ensure that StyleBox selects the best and most qualified candidates, we recommend implementing a 3-step process in which applicants progress through multiple hurdles. Only qualified candidates who receive above a certain score will be progressed to the next step. The first step is an online application in which we will collect resumes and biodata, which is information like job history and education, to ensure that applicants meet the minimum requirements determined by the work analysis. Applications will be reviewed by an automated applicant tracking system, which will filter out candidates who don't meet the minimum requirements. Candidates who do meet the minimum qualifications will then be invited to complete the personalized, computer-based assessment that Sabrina described. Lastly, we will conduct a virtual structured interview with the remaining candidates, asking the same questions to each candidate and using a standardized scoring method. Structured interviews are more consistent, less biased, and more valid than the unstructured conversations that are part of your current selection process. Interviews also allow us to evaluate factors that can only be determined in person-to-person interactions, and they allow candidates to fill in any gaps and provide additional details on their past experiences. Candidates who are chosen to complete all 3 steps will receive 1 total score. This score will be determined by combining scores from the assessment and the interview. We will ensure the effectiveness of this system by conducting the entire process with current stylists. Their scores will be compared to performance reviews from managers and client ratings. If their selection scores are related to the performance ratings and reviews, meaning that employees who are considered high performers and have high client ratings receive high scores from our selection system, and low performers with low ratings receive low scores, it can be assumed that the selection system will predict the future performance of the new employees hired using this system. Now I'll pass it over to Anjali.
Thanks, Alex. I'm now going to introduce our firm's value proposition. Our consulting firm strives to guarantee high quality and satisfaction. We will accomplish this by providing our full support during every step of this process, including the development, implementation, and training. We will also continue to provide support in the ongoing revision of the system to support future expansion efforts and hiring needs. SelectToImpress places a great emphasis on transparent communication. We provide a clear pricing structure and will collaborate with you to set realistic goals. StyleBox will be kept informed of the progress made during each step to maintain a strong and trusting partnership. And lastly, we have extensive experience in working with organizations with an international presence. This expertise will be used to create a globally friendly selection system. The development of the selection system is projected to span over the course of 6 months. The work analysis will require 2 months. During this 2-month timeframe, we will gather a pool of subject matter experts representative of the StyleBox demographic in each country. We will also gather data through interviews and survey responses and analyze the data in an effort to understand the competencies and KSAOs required for a qualified stylist. The resulting product at the end of this phase will be a thorough and accurate job description. During the second phase, our consulting firm will be developing an online assessment based on the KSAOs found to be important during the work analysis. 3 weeks are dedicated to developing the assessment, followed by another 3 weeks to test reliability and validity. In the final week of this phase, we will make the necessary adjustments to finalize the assessment. This sums up to 2 weeks for phase completion. The final phase will take up the last 2 months. This is where we will spend the first 5 weeks creating the initial application, developing the structured interview, and training managers on how to interview applicants. We will then conduct a concurrent validity study over the next 2 weeks and analyze the evidence from the validity study during our final week. And of course, we are open to your feedback regarding the timeline length and how the time is distributed among the various steps. SelectToImpress also offers additional services in the areas listed on this slide in order to promote StyleBox's ongoing development. Our performance management tool would use the feedback from direct supervisors and clientele to rate a stylist's performance. These ratings can then be utilized to make decisions regarding promotions and raises. This tool will align individual and organizational goals to improve performance overall. This is just one example of the many services StyleBox has to offer. We would be more than happy to continue to show our support for StyleBox's success by providing these extra resources. With SelectToImpress, you would receive a quality, scalable, and consistent selection system that will decrease time to fill and cost per hire, improve the quality of each hire, and create a great candidate experience. Based on our extensive expertise and value system, we are confident we can develop an effective solution that will cater to StyleBox's needs to identify future top-performing stylists and improve organizational performance. Please feel free to reach out to us using the contact information listed on this slide. Thank you so much for your time and for allowing us to present our proposal. We look forward to the opportunity to partner with you. We will now take any questions you may have regarding our proposal.